Hi friends, you're listening to the Shattered Ceilings podcast with your hosts Stephanie and Adriana. We're here to discuss the importance of mental health from the perspective of two first-generation immigrants. Join in weekly as we dive into important topics such as relationships, parenting, and cultural barriers. Here, we get real and candid as we explore what disrupting the status quo looks like for each of us.
Hey guys, welcome to Shattered Ceilings podcast. This is our very first episode, and I'm so dang happy to be here. I'm so happy to have you guys here listening with us. I feel like it's definitely been a journey to get here. It's taken a lot of learning and studying. Both Adriana and I are new to the podcast creator world, so there's definitely been a learning curve, but fingers crossed, I feel like it's been pretty smooth so far. And that I think is definitely because I have a wonderful co-host, Adriana, who has been such a dream to work with.
Thank you.
I feel like for this first episode, it's really important for us to kind of lay out the groundwork, introduce ourselves to you guys. Adriana and I will be here with you guys every week. So I think that it's very important that you guys get to know us and who we are. So with that being said, I want to let Adriana introduce herself first.
Cool. So yes, my name's Adriana. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in Detroit. I'm actually the third oldest out of 14, so very big family.
Yes, 14, 1-4.
Same parents also. That's always a follow-up question. So yeah, we moved here about 10 years ago. We're currently in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm married to my husband, James. We'll be celebrating our 2-year anniversary in March. We have our little cat. Her name is Chauncey. She's super cute. She'll probably, hopefully pop in here.
And side note, we actually got our cat Tom from Adriana and James. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
So Tom is our family member now, adopted cat from Adriana and James.
So we share a little cat.
Yeah.
With that being said, for work, I'm a real estate agent here in the Valley. I also have my skincare license that I used to do and I still love. For fun, I love to watch movies. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
I've never seen Star Wars.
What?
I don't know. We'll get to that point in our
Yeah, that'll definitely be an episode that we'll have to talk about. Love to travel. We did a lot of traveling recently. And yeah, just like hanging out with family, friends, finding good places to eat here around the Valley.
Foodie. Both of us definitely, I think,
Yes.
are foodies. My name is Stephanie, as I said, guys. I am 28 years old. I have 2 children. My son will be 5 this year, which makes me feel old to say that. I don't know why. I feel like 5 is like he's not a baby anymore.
Yeah, he's in school.
And then my daughter will be 3 this year. I am married going on 7 years, which also seems like a long time and a big
good
number.
Job. Good.
Yeah, it's been 7 years. And I am currently wrapping up my bachelor's in psychology. And then this spring, I will be starting my master's in marriage and family therapy. I actually just decided to go back last year and finish my degree, which it's been a crazy year, and that's definitely a topic for another episode. But in my free time, I like to read. I think that one of my favorite memories from the past year has been starting a book club with one of my sisters. We're both avid readers, so that, that was fun being able to do that with her. And then I also like to sing. I like music a lot. And I like to travel, like Adriana said too. It's not easy for sure with the kids. With the 2 little kids, it takes a lot of extra packing. But I have to say it's always worth it for sure, the extra packing, just because I feel like seeing, the world through the eyes of your kids is really fun and cool. So I like to travel, and then I like to shop, but I think 95% of women would probably list that as a hobby. And then I also want us to kind of talk about how we got to this point right now, recording the journey of, starting the podcast, how the idea came about. So the idea came to me last year, sometime when I was studying. If you know me, I'm a podcast fiend. I love podcasts. I'm always sending podcasts to my friends. I feel like in this season of my life, it's very hard to just kind of sit down and be able to read. So having, my headphones in while I'm doing stuff around the house or doing stuff with the kids is like a total game changer for me, especially when it comes to like educating myself and parenting. Podcasts have been, amazing for me. But the idea came, like I said, while I was in school. And I think it was because I kind of just saw like a lack of awareness regarding mental health. And Adriana and I talk about this a lot, particularly in immigrant communities. Both her and I are Romanian, so we have talked about it a lot. We've seen kind of the adverse effects of not talking about mental awareness and, how that can affect people negatively. I think there's one girl on social media that her and I follow, Brown Girl Therapy, who talks about mental health from that perspective of a first generation immigrant. And so I just feel like in this big community that we have here in the States of a lot of first generation kids like Adriana and I are, I just feel like, there's not many people talking about it. So that in and of itself was, really important to me. So I kind of started brainstorming topics, and then I immediately started thinking about a co-host because in my opinion, having a co-host on a podcast is very beneficial. I feel like you have somebody to bounce ideas off of. Another thing that's really important is being able to see things from a different point of view. Maybe that, second person can offer a different point of view. I feel like conversation just goes, smoother. So I started thinking of a co-host, and at the top of my list was Adriana. And I'm so glad that she said yes. I don't know what I would have done if
I said no.
no. So I had known of Adriana. For my Romanians that are listening, you guys understand it's a very, very big community here in the States, but it's also very small. You kind of know of everybody. So I had known of her. I had never met her. And then when our paths finally crossed, I felt like, I think from like one of the first conversations that we had, I just really felt like we clicked. When you just kind of like vibe with someone and you're on the same wavelength. I liked a lot about her that she was very genuine, very, vocal about her opinions, which I love that.
Most people.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know. So I just felt like every time I would leave a conversation that we had, I just felt like it was so refreshing. And I thought, if other people could hear these conversations, maybe it would benefit them too. So I reached out to her, and I'm so glad she said yes.
Yes.
And I don't think I ever asked you kind of like what prompted you to, agree to going on this.
You never asked me. I was just like, hey, let's do it. And you're like, okay, we need to do it ASAP.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, but you did all the research and you had everything, so.
But it was so good, like, working with someone because I feel like you kind of push each other. And one thing I have to say, I feel like Adriana and I are very similar, but we're also very different.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier.
And, I mean, clearly by the logo, you can tell blonde and brunette. So even physically, but even mentally, I feel like we are similar but different, and I think that is just a great combo to have in a co-host. So, like I said, so happy she said yes.
Yeah, I'll kind of say why I said yes, I guess, just where I'm coming from. Like you said, we kind of all knew of each other. I don't even remember the first time actually meeting you.
I tried to think of it and I couldn't remember.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone knows each other, especially on social media, and then you see them. So I just don't remember our first convo. But I know every time we talked, I always left like, wow, why don't we hang out more often? Or like, we have such good convos. And I would tell other people like, so-and-so said this and she also thinks this. And like, it was just very refreshing.
Yeah.
And so when you did ask me, I was excited. I was also a little bit nervous because I was like, oh, I really don't like being in front of like cameras and microphones. And I'm very like introverted / extrovert. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about personalities in another episode.
Personality types.
Yeah. So I was excited, but my main, I guess, reason for saying yes was personally myself. I've gone to therapy in 2019. So it's been like around 3 years. And that was a huge benefit. And I realized everyone should go to therapy. And I would just tell everyone, like, go to therapy, go to therapy. And everyone's like, nothing's wrong with me. And I'm like, trust me, everyone will benefit from it.
Yep.
So I was just very big on mental health, talking about things that normally you can't talk about. And I would always bring it up in therapy sessions. And I was like, why don't people talk about this? Like friend groups, family, like everyone was very hush hush. Again, especially in the Romanian community.
Yeah, a lack of transparency.
Yeah, everyone kind of likes to act like their life is perfect. Kind of like social media too. But to a certain extent, especially as Christians, we should be open and honest with our struggles and what we're dealing with.
Yep, absolutely.
Because if not, God knows where I would be if I didn't go to therapy.
Right.
So that what kind of led me to a big yes. And I think my main goal for this talk and for whatever I have to share on my heart would be to benefit at least one person or show that you're not alone. People deal with all these things. And hopefully we're here to help and share resources.
Yeah. And I loved also how you said, you know, that therapy is so beneficial, because for me, coming from somebody who's studying to be a therapist, I'm like, this is so awesome. Like, I think that it's so cool that we can get like the practical side from you, and then even like the educational side from what I'm learning right now, and we can apply it together. So I just think it's so awesome. And we get a lot of questions, why Shattered Ceilings, why we chose that name. And I kind of want to give you guys an inside look at our thought process behind choosing Shattered Ceilings as the name of the podcast. So like I said, both Adriana and I are Romanian. We're both women. And I think, and I feel like in society, that can be two things that are, you know, going against us. And then I also thought a lot about the proverbial metaphor, hitting the glass ceiling, which refers to women in the workplace, you know, not being able to advance in their career because of their gender. And I thought even more in depth about it, and I kind of realized, I think, you know, we all have our own glass ceilings. Every person, whether that is the circumstances that you're in, the ideologies maybe that you grew up with, certain, you know, generational patterns or, you know, cycles that, you know, might be toxic to you, that are acting as your glass ceiling, that, you know, are preventing you from breaking through that into the unknown. So Adriana and I really just hope for this show that we, with the conversations that we have on this show and the topics that we discuss, that we can just encourage you guys and all of us together really to kind of break through those glass ceilings, which is why I thought of Shattered Ceilings. And we both, you know, wanted to go with that name. And I think that the more that I study psychology and the human mind, one thing that I have noticed is just regardless of our religion or culture, I think every single person on this earth, every human being shares one thing in common. And I think that is the innate desire to feel understood. I think that there's, you know, something really powerful about having solidarity with someone who says, hey, I experienced what you're going through right now. Even more than that, if that person says, I experienced that and this is what worked for me, or I experienced that and this is what did not work for me. So to be able to offer like a safe space here where we can have, you know, these discussions and talk about these things, where you as listeners can feel understood, can feel seen, maybe sometimes even challenged by certain viewpoints. I think that that's like a really special and a beautiful thing. And that is really mine and Adriana's hope and goal for this show going forward.
Yeah, I love all what you just said. Well, my other big thing is, of course, we'll talk about topics that maybe Stephanie went through, like having kids. Of course, I don't know what that's like, but we want to open everyone's eyes on different perspectives of what people are going through. So I think our main goal is we'll have topics. I don't know if you want to kind of share what we'll be talking about, just to kind of give an overview. I know we'll obviously be talking about like marriage and kids, even infertility. A lot of people don't like to talk about just generational trauma or growing up in a toxic family, how to break those chains.
I think that there's just going to be a wide range of topics that we're going to discuss. We want you guys to know we're going to be bringing people on the show that we're going to interview.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have some really, really good people lined up. So stay tuned for that. And we actually will be releasing an episode every Tuesday on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube. And then we are going to be linking all of our social media handles in the description so you guys can find us easier. And then if Adriana wants to talk about kind of something that we created in hopes of, helping you guys as the viewers to give us feedback.
Oh, we made a Facebook private group called
Shattered Ceilings Podcast.
You made the Facebook group.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll again link it down. That's mostly to have a safe space, a community. We would love to hear feedback if you have questions, comments, whatever it may be. We're kind of here for you guys. We're here as a platform, as a safe space, and we want to talk about kind of the things that no one wants to talk about.
Yep.
And kind of break the mold and just
That's a good way to put it, Adriana.
be uncomfortable while acting very comfortable. But
Yep.
I think it'll be good. We're not here to bash on things. We're very proud to be in our Romanian family, in our community. We love the community. We just think that there's so much hurt that needs to be healed, and I think conversations will definitely help that.
Yeah.
And of course, talking to the guests we have on, we have licensed therapists talking. We have people that dealt with a lot of things, so it'll be fun to kind of pick their brains, and hopefully that will help out our viewers.
For sure. So just to wrap today's episode up, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We're so excited for this journey that we're on together, all of us.
Yeah.
And we're excited to see where this journey is going to lead us to. Please, if you guys liked today's episode and you're excited for the show, go ahead and hit that 5-star rating for us. That helps us to just be able to be seen and found, I guess, easier on Apple Podcasts. And join us again next Tuesday as we come out with another episode of Shattered Ceilings Podcast.